I do the Isaiah 7 exposition, and he says to me, you know, you make a really good case if you read the passage very carefully. A careful reading of that text leads to what you're saying. But you'll never convince me that the original audience would have gotten it. And I said, who's the original audience? And he said, Ahaz. Ahaz is the audience in what? In the event. Who's the audience of the text?
The remnant returning.
The remnant of Israel that's reading the text. Right? The faithful remnant. And could they read it just as carefully as I could? Could they get it? So where's he trying to get meaning from? The ability of the characters to understand. Now this is just, we're readers. It's what the author wrote. It doesn't matter what Eve understood, but what Moses meant. It doesn't matter what Ahaz understood, but what Isaiah meant. And we can read it. It's the author and the readers, not the characters. This is so common. This is one of the most common approaches to interpretation. Thinking of the characters themselves, because they're reading it as events, not texts. The author understands it. So the point that I'm trying to make is the point of You've Got Mail. How many have seen that movie? Did the scriptwriter know what was going on? Do the viewers know? The director? Who doesn't know what's going on? Characters! Do you want to get the meaning of the movie from the characters? No. We're looking at that movie holistically. They're just in a part of it. You see? So we're looking at what the author tried to communicate, not what the characters understood. Now, do I have another point there under this for you? No. Let me give you another one. This is another implication. When we read the Bible, we're reading it holistically and not chronologically. And here's what I mean by this. This is free. I really need to put this in my regular notes. When you read a book of the Bible, like a historical book, so often we treat it like every day they're keeping another record and adding it to the book. You know, just adding another segment of the story. Like you read 1st and 2nd Kings and you think, oh, the author, this happened in the reign of Asa, and they stuck it in, and then you come to later on to the reign of Josiah, and they stuck it in, and you come to the reign of Zedekiah, and they stuck it in, and then you come to the end. That's not how it was written.
That's the annals of the kings of Judah.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the in between. But when the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings were written, do what they were? They were written in captivity. Because where do they end? In captivity. So the point of it is the book was written all along. No. The book, Israel gets to captivity, and there's a historian there, probably from the prophetic house, who said, how did we get here? And he takes out his Torah, and he tells the story to show how we kept breaking the Torah. And the curses that were told in the Torah about being kicked out. It's going to be fulfilled. And that's why we're here. And he's got a point that he's making, because he's put these 4 books together, 1st, 2nd Kings. He's writing from the end perspective. Because here we are in captivity. The Davidic house has been cast down. There's no hope. And so you read now, 2 Samuel 7. You know? And Nathan comes to David and says, you're going to have a descendant. He's going to have an eternal house, throne, and kingdom. And so, maybe it's Solomon. We say, oh yeah, it's Solomon, because we keep reading the story. And then Solomon, he takes all these foreign wives and worships false gods. No, it's not Solomon. And then you start looking at all the kings. Maybe it's Hezekiah. No. He showed all the wealth of Israel to Babylon. And even all the good kings, what happens to them all? They all end bad. And then you come to the end, and here we are in captivity. And what's our hope? Our only hope is 2 Samuel 7. In captivity. What's that hope? That one day, that king that was promised to King David, that descendant, is still going to come. So keep looking. look at. Now, what I'm saying about this is if you read this as the annals of the king, you'll never get that. But if you read it from the end perspective, that the author is where he's writing from, the holistic view, then the book comes alive. Do you see what I mean? Don't treat it. I remember when I was in college, I couldn't afford to buy a paper, so I'd go to the library, read the paper. And what I would do is I would take, they would take each day's newspaper and put it in one of these polls. And then you'd pick a poll, and you'd have a whole week of newspapers. So you could review, and it's funny, because some of the news stories at the end contradicted the news stories at the beginning, because they found out more information. That's not how the Bible was written. Just different news stories attached to one another. It was a writer crafting from all sorts of documents and records to tell the story in the end. We have to look at it like that. Does that make sense to you? Okay, how much time do I have?
0.
0. Okay, we're going to break.